now ex-GF after finding out she was engaged. But she is depressed right now. My now ex-GF recently distanced herself from me due to mental health issues. Of course, I was very concerned about this, and tried to stay supportive without pressuring her during a tough time in her life. We slowly stopped talking. The relationship was newer, so I didn't know her friends very well and decided to find their social media to see if I can stay in contact with them for updates on her well-being. My ex-GF had told me during our 6 months that she doesn't use social media. When I found her friends online, I also found out my ex does have social media and uses it regularly. To my surprise, I found out she has been engaged to someone since 2019. When checking public records, her fiancé's primary address was listed the same as hers. I was shocked and asked her about these things, despite her mental state. She denied the relationship and said they broke it off in 2020, to which I presented her with a photo of them in 2022. She told me she always lived alone and bought her place out of interest for seeing new areas, not living with a finance. She said I was being crazy and said it's none of my business. She told me to leave her alone and I said gladly, to which she wildly kept on talking. I think she panicked and realized she was losing part of her support system. Part of me is shocked, happy, and relieved to have found the truth and GTFO of theirs before I get myself into a mess with this person, but part of me feels terrible for leaving her when she is struggling and most likely adding to it. I guess I will never know what the full truth is or if she was even struggling. Am I a terrible person for doing this? However, if I did contact the fiancé, we'll let you know what happens if he responds. Update 1. 24 hours later, my fiancé has not responded or hasn't seen the message on his social media yet. Ex-GF deleted her social media account entirely with photos of them and info saying they were engaged. She still has another social media account that is private and actively uses that I don't have access to at this time. She has added 7 posts to it just this week. We'll update again if fiancé responds, not sure when that will be. Relevant comments. On why op feels bad. I feel shitty because I genuinely wanted to help her during this time and be there for her. So that part kind of still stings and makes me feel guilty. I'm working on it. Yeah, that's her fiancé's job. LOL valid, I'm happy to let him deal with that mess of a person. She was lying to you and using you for sympathy, maybe even lying about mental health. Thank you. It didn't help that during our conversation she said I was concerned over nothing and that it didn't involve me. She even called me crazy for looking her up when I actually just stumbled upon her social media out of care and trying to support. On the mental health aspect. Yeah, once I figured out all of the lies, my guess is her mental issues are much more than just being depressed. I don't know much about depression, but from what I've heard I don't think they typically go such great lengths to lie and manipulate others. On mental health not being an excuse. Thank you. I also think there is no excuse to hide something like that from your partner. We even talked about moving in together in the future and potentially getting married. She brought this up, not me, dodged a ticking time bomb. Agreed, depression is not an excuse to do this to someone. Even if my partner was depressed, I would expect that in a normal relationship they would be willing to accept support from their partner. The fact that she even brought up marriage is insane. How would she have explained that? Great question. My bet is she would get mad and still say none of my business and then try to punish me for finding out by being distant/mad at me or something along those lines. How she hid it. I had been to her house. Every now and then she would cancel our plans last minute and say something else came up or some bullshit excuse as for why I couldn't go to her place but she could come to mine instead. She denied any existence of her socials while we had been dating for 6 months. Lol. Not sharing is a bit different. She never mentioned anything about being engaged when we talked about our past relationships. We were still talking when I looked up her friends, but not nearly as much because she was depressed and said she needed space. I wanted to contact her friends for updates on her well-being or in case of emergency. On red flags before this. Oh, my friends asked many questions and were very suspicious of some things early on, but I dismissed them at the time. Should have listened to my friends SMH. Update 2. I contacted her fiancé who filled me in on a lot of details. We decided to get on a phone call to sort things out. It turns out they were together while I was talking with her. They were even still together while I was visiting her place, and she would hide all of his belongings, i.e. clothes, PC, pictures of them on the wall. She would only let me come over when he was out of town for work or visiting his family. He said he never knew about me and she hid it very well. He also explained the following: they did end up breaking off the engagement, but he broke it off because he caught her cheating with not one, but two other guys during their 5-year relationship, one of which happened right before she started talking to me. She would send them messages, talk dirty, sext, etc. She did the same thing with me. I also found out that the way I met her and the things she said to me are the exact same things she told her fiancé before they moved in together and got engaged. This girl told me that she wanted to get married and move in with me just the same way. In addition to this, apparently the fiancé met her while she had lived in another state and was in a relationship with someone in the army. She left her army boyfriend, who she met online, just like her fiancé, and me, to be with this guy and move in with him. The fiancé said he is not mad at me for any of this and was very chill and understanding. We both agreed that she is a crazy AF. So it turns out she does this consistently and has made a pattern of it. Almost as if she knows what she is going to do before it even happens. She knows all of the right things to say to get the guy emotionally attached to her, and then she does whatever she wants once she knows she has them wrapped around her finger. I guess once she gets bored with them or starts feeling guilty, she cuts it off and starts all over again with a new person and continues building on the lies of her past. Thank God I dodged this ticking time bomb. Holy. I thought shit like this only happened in movies. This is seriously one messed up individual. I do not feel bad about blocking her at all anymore. The next day, she spoke with her fiancé after I contacted him and she told him I lied about everything. When she got distant in our relationship and said we needed a break, she went back to him begging to take her back and he said no lol. She probably would have came crawling back to me after had I stuck around to support her in her hard times. Relevant comments. Seems like you dodged a bullet. Yeah, honestly I'm scared knowing she wasn't who she says she was. For all I know she could have committed a crime against me had I stayed in it and I would have never seen it coming. Did you never ask to meet her parents and friends? The relationship was fairly new at the time. Her family and friends lived far away as she left home to live with these two other guys. She also had a tough upbringing and isn't close with them anymore. Edit. In response to someone talking about how the first stage of a relationship with someone with BPD will have some of the most over-the-top love received from a partner ever. I hate to admit that I kind of enjoyed it at the time having someone so head over heels for me. But looking back now it scares me knowing that it was the illness controlling it and not her true self. More on that shift from the lovey-dovey stage to not. I'm sorry to hear that. The sudden change from that first stage is still so confusing to me. They want plans for the future, but now they don't? They are feeling bad or having bad emotions and don't understand why, so it must be their partner? I never argued or fought with my partner and we had a good relationship up until they started feeling depressed. The change I made on my end was trying to talk to them about their problems or what was going on. They didn't want to talk to me about it and shut me out. The logic that I was the reason behind the relationship not progressing is bananas.